Be led in the pledge by Lieutenant Colonel Dylan Halstead, Blackman High School Junior ROTC. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to this board meeting tonight. Before we go into our moment of silence, I've made some notes here, and over the last several weeks we've had several tragic deaths within the school system, and I want to go down through here and recognize these and ask everybody to please remember those, and if I've missed somebody that you may know of, let me know. The family of Trevor Amos, he was a 5th grade student at Roy Walden Elementary. He passed away on the 20th of February. The family of Liz Graves, most of you probably know Miss Graves. She was over health services here at the school system, and she just recently passed away with a bout with cancer. Mr. Bill Spurlock's principal at Oakland High School, his mother passed away. Miss Margaret Spurlock passed away last night, I believe. And I guess this one probably affects us all quite a bit. I mentioned our board member, Miss Helen Blankenship, who died last night after being in the hospital for a week. And I just want to say that Miss Blankenship, she was a good lady. She truly cared for the students, the families in this community, and she was dedicated to the duties as a school board member, and she was a real asset to us. And I'll miss seeing her, just like everyone else will, and I just hope we'll remember her family and friends and all those who served with her. Okay? Anybody else?
The family of Josh McConnell, a student at Oakland, I believe it was.
Okay.
As well. And I've only known Miss Blankenship, knew Miss Blankenship 2.5 months. But I don't think I've ever had anybody make a better first impression on me than Helen did. Her sincerity, her honesty, just as you said, a very special lady.
So if we could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Holliday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Nipper and a second by Mr. Young. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Tonight we have one visitor, Mr. Austin Maxwell with Riverdale Quarterback Club. Welcome, Mr. Maxwell. You want to address the board or come up? I know you've got something on the agenda tonight, so feel free to take whatever time you need.
Okay. I'll be brief. First of all, thank y'all for your all service. I realize what y'all do is not easy, but we do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to look at what we have submitted to you this evening. What we're asking to do is, on behalf of the Riverdale Quarterback Club, is basically modernize our facilities. If you were to come over and view our locker room, our weight room, the coaches' facilities, just the facilities in general, you'd really feel like you were back in 1988, 1989, 1990. And what we want to do is basically build a new football athletic complex that'll be obviously available to use for all athletes. There'd be no Title IX issues at all, but really put our kids under one roof to where you've got freshmen, varsity, coaches, trainers, your weight room in one facility, very similar like what they have at Siegel High School and Blackman High School. We did a site visit over to Siegel High School, looked at the facility there, also went up to Beach High School. The plan that we submitted to you in the letter, it's a 60 by 140 building for 8,400 square feet, the exact same plan that they have currently at Siegel High School, that would basically give our kids the best experience, not only in this coming year, but for many years to come. We realize Rutherford County is a growing county. Schools are expensive to build and maintain. Approving this is really an investment in the future of Riverdale High School and Riverdale athletics. And so we would just ask for your permission tonight at no cost to Rutherford County, that we get the permission to go out and seek the funds through private donors and businesses so that we can go ahead and begin groundbreaking sometime on May the 1st. We also realize, any sort of bank note that has to be taken out with it, we'd obviously would bring that back to the board. So we're well aware of all the things that we've got to do. We're just basically asking for your permission tonight so that we can really bring our facilities up to par and to parity with the other schools in this area so that our kids now and future kids basically have the best possible experience at Riverdale High School. So I thank you.
Anybody got any questions? Mr. Maxwell, I just want to say I appreciate your efforts and the efforts of the quarterback club out there in doing this. And hopefully we get down through the agenda tonight, everything will work out well.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hodge.
Thank you. Number 7, I'm going to ask Mr. Blair to come to the podium on this one. Introduction of our 2014 Tennessee School Board's scope participants.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Odom, and board members, thank you for this opportunity to allow Rutherford County students to participate for the first time, TSBA-sponsored SCOPE. What SCOPE is, a mock school board meeting, and after making that presentation, the students will break up into teams and they will debate with 16 different students representing the different groups, taking a pro and con. And some of the students may not particularly like the topic they have to defend, and they may not like the topic that they have to oppose, but it will sharpen their debate skills, and I am confident they will have a great time. Since I've been on the board, I believe I have participated every year in the SCOPE as one of the moderators, and it has always been a lot of fun, been interesting. Always enjoy when we start setting up the school board, ask for volunteers who would like to be board chairman, and I've yet to have just one person. It's always an election. Everybody wants to be board chairman. So there you go, Chairman Hodge. You got a cool seat, sir. So, if it's a pleasure of the board, I would like at this time to introduce the students that I'm not sure that everybody is here, but if when I call your name, if you would come forward, of course you're going to be on television tonight, and we'd like to get a picture with you. So if you'll stand in front of the board facing this way so the cameras can see you. So this is in alphabetical order for the high schools. Blackman High School first. We have senior Nate Hogan, Nate here, and junior Abby Gass. Abby, glad to have you. Just if you'll go right up front, thank you. From Central Magnet School, and I hope I pronounced his name correctly, Andrew Hine. That's Andrew here, and he's a senior. Connor Hurley, junior. Okay. From Oakland High School, senior Harrison Pauley. I'm not doing too well tonight, am I? And junior Michael Zeiss. May not have gotten that correct. May be best that he wasn't here. So, from Siegel High, Aaron Hall, Jr. Abby, it just may be me and you. Hopefully everybody will be there Monday. And sophomore Nicholas Savage. From Smyrna High School, Dustin Diaz. Dustin's a junior. Come on up, Dustin. Glad to have you. And also a junior from Smyrna High School is Autumn Butterworth. Okay. Chaperones will be Dr. Phyllis Washington. Dr. Washington, would you come? We want to make sure we'll bring you up here. I think Miss Joyce has told us we're going to get a picture. And Chase Cato. Is Mr. Cato? Well, I will all see you Monday morning, and I can tell you you'll enjoy driving to Murfreesboro a whole bunch more than driving to Charlotte Avenue on Monday morning, which is what we've done for the last several years. So I promise you'll have a good time, and you do have to acknowledge that you know me when you get there, okay? So, James, are you going to take a picture now? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Guys, we're going to step back a little bit.
And we realize you have to smile.
Look forward to seeing you on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. All right, Mr. Odom, number 8, spotlight on education.
Our spotlight on education, this meeting is the technology hardware systems, and our person that heads it up is Mr. Steve Solomon. So, Mr. Solomon, if you will come forward, please. I think this will be an informative time for you board members and for our public people that are watching.
Mr. Odom, I don't think I've ever seen him in a tie before.
Not often.
Not often. Had a lot of remarks today when this time. So, Mr. Hodge, Mr. Odom, and board, I appreciate the opportunity to allow our department to come up here and share a little bit of information about our department and about what we do. I am very thankful to say that I've been with the school system now for 17 and a half years and been with the technology department that whole time. And it's been a remarkable experience, and I've just enjoyed my time here with the county. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our department and how we're broken down. Our department consists of 22 employees. We have a supervisor, an administrative assistant. I have 4 senior level technicians, and since I was up here presenting, they are also here behind me in support. We have 11 technical support specialists. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about them. Their primary focus, these are the technicians that go to the school each and every day, that handle that firsthand support for the teachers and the students. Their work schedule is they're assigned to 4 to 5 different schools. Each high school gets 2 visits a week by a technician. Every elementary and middle school gets 1 visit per week by the technician. We've got 3 cabling technicians. 2 of those are full-time cabling guys that work in our department. The other one is half-time with us and half-time with transportation, taking care of their bus cameras. And then we have 2 specialty guys that handle the life safety, and they handle primarily the fire alarm and intercom, as well as phones. Some of the responsibilities that we handle, our number 1 is computer desktop support, and then we go down from there, and several of these categories the senior level techs take care of, such as the server support and configuration and installation, the network administration, and then we got some specialty areas up there as well. A little bit about what we've been able to accomplish this year. These reports are from July 1st to today. We've closed 9,125 work orders, and then we have 373 open in the 46 schools plus the central office, adult ed, and maintenance. are the ones we have open. There's a little breakdown below that of the different types. And as you'll notice, the largest number is under the hardware. The cabling guys, when we went to Jeff Sandvig and you guys approved the cabling guys, I remember being asked, what will these guys do in a couple of years? And it's been 5.5 years later, and there's so much work for them to do. We haven't yet caught up. But this year, we've had around 250 work orders that's been completed. Those work orders can be anything from a single drop to an office or to a classroom to a computer lab that consists of 35 drops. And then we have 32 that are open right now. Also down there, you'll notice that there's projectors that we install as well. Getting to what I really wanted to make mention of is the equipment replacements. What we've done is, for the last several years, due to the funding, we have purchased refurbished computers. A refurbished computer is about 3 years old. It's still a really good computer, but it just allows us to put more equipment into the schools than what we would if we were to buy brand new. So these are approximate numbers. We've done about 409 student computers being put in classrooms, 208 teacher computers, and about a little over 200 computer lab computers is what we put in. Now, schools have also been good about it helping on their side as well, and I give them credit because they have purchased computers from their own school funds that have put into their school as well. We've been doing projectors now for several years, and so we're starting to get to the point now to where we help replace projectors in classrooms. You may remember the state of Tennessee was allotted $51 million to allow schools and districts to upgrade their instructional technology. The primary purpose for this funds was to not only get the computers and the technology up to date, but it also, one of its big purposes was to get us ready for the online testing. So a budget and a plan was put together, and we submitted to the state, and then Rutherford County Schools received $2.1 million of that $51 million. And that's kind of what I wanted to break down and show you that budget that was submitted. So when we looked at how we could spend $2.1 million, we had to look at it from all areas, not just, it would have been great to just done nothing but computers and put them out there in a lab environment, but if we did that, then we wouldn't have the network in place to be able to handle that growth. Nor would we have the software to be able to manage the devices or the users. So we upgraded switches in the schools. That came up to about $30,000. As you know, a big push right now in education is just bring your own device, and not only that, but we have so many schools that are now purchasing iPads and laptops, and so that was a big push. So we knew we had to get better Wi-Fi coverage at every school. So 1,440 wireless access points is what was in the budget to be put into all schools. That's going to give every classroom sufficient coverage. Again, there may be an area when this is all said and done that we got to add another one to the end of the hallway or something like that. But this will get every school sufficient coverage to where both a student and an administrator can walk anywhere in a school and keep that signal.
Can I
Yes, sir.
mention one thing here with that one? If you remember last year, Board, we piloted 2 different types of routers. This is not the one that you can go down to your local store and pick up the $39 router to cover the traffic that you have trying to be carried over. So we piloted 2. We're able to select the one that would carry the most data in all for us, and so that's what Mr. Solomon piloted that and installed it. So I think we're in pretty good shape for that now. We feel really good.
We
about
did,
it.
and that was a great pilot too, not just for devices, but we did a test at McFadden and Central Magnet by putting an access point in the hallways, and then we did the other school by putting an access point in every other classroom, and then on the other side of the hallway, we did the opposite every other classroom. And that was the one that really gives every classroom coverage that they need, and that's what that number is based off of. There are, of course, more network switches involved that they're called power over Ethernet switches to handle the access points. There was, I guess, to make mention, and what's keeping us so busy right now and is the cabling. We tried to use this $2.1 million to get as much equipment as we could get and not having to outsource the cabling. So again, in-house, we've been doing majority of that cabling. We have had to use Blackbox here recently to help us with that installation of the wireless access points and getting us with the computer labs as well. The Airwave and ClearPass, those are just management tools to manage the devices and manage those users that access our network. And then the big one that you'll see that comes up to about 50% of the 2.1 million is putting a brand new all-in-one, it's a computer that's an all-in-one computer, but it's putting a new lab in every school. And what that is so there's no more, and part of the requirements for this money being spent was it had to be for a brand new computer. It cannot be used for a refurbished computer. This is just the beginning, and it's just a start to get our schools ready for online testing. And this lab will meet all requirements for this year, next year, and for the next few years to come. Probably the challenges that we have facing us in the next few years is, again, just computer replacements and how to get more and more computers into the school. Not more computers into the school as much as it's going to be replacing computers that are in the school. It's probably one of our biggest challenges that we have. And that's really what I have to share with you today. I wanted to make sure we talked about this and about what we did in our department, and if you got questions.
Mr. Solomon, I mean, how far along are you in getting access points in every school and meeting what the state requires us to have?
Good question. So the wireless access points, we're about 28% done. We've completed from start to finish 13 of the 46 schools on getting those installed. Luckily, some of these schools where we used to do 5 student computers in the classroom, and now we've noticed that going from 2 to going back to 2 students, so we've been able to use one of those extra drops in a classroom and use it for an access point, so that's speeding us up. To get us up and ready, the PARC requirements is that we can be able to test half of a grade level at a time. And so I put together some temporary numbers. It'd be about $2.9 million, and what that would be based off of is every elementary school getting 2 more labs, middle school's getting 3 more labs, and then high school getting 4 more labs. And not necessarily, again, not more labs as much as replacing existing equipment in labs that they already have, but that would meet the requirements. Mr. Nepper, as you know, like Windows XP is at its end of days, and majority of our computers, we have roughly 15,000 computers. We probably have over 75% of those that are Windows XP.
Is that 2.9 million above the 2.1 million?
It would be.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Holday?
A couple of comments, Mr. Solomon. One is that we have discussed, and the board is very aware of, a mindset of 1-to-1 technology ratio that we thought was a good goal, that we could have one piece of technology for each student. Mm-hmm. And as we look to the future and as we look to our own person, we anticipate 1-to-1 is not going to cut it as far as bandwidth and access, because each of us today are potentially carrying 2, 3, 4, 5 devices that have wireless connectivity, and the bandwidth that we may need may be more like 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 inside of our schools. How far along are we on that ratio of meeting our population?
That's a very good question. So last year, the board approved us to upgrade our bandwidth coming into the school. It actually comes into the central office and then goes out to the schools. But we were at 200 meg of internet traffic. We upgraded that to 450. Talking with Mr. Odom today, we had AT&T run us a report, and we are hitting at 90 to 95% of that 450 meg right now. and we really haven't pushed out that bring your own device yet. So something I've submitted to Mr. Sandvig that I'm sure will come before you is to upgrade our bandwidth again. Right now we have it's 100 meg to every school. To upgrade that to 250 meg, but then our internet bandwidth to go from 450 meg to a 1 gig.
In addition to that, I think it's important to point out to the public more than to you, because you're aware of this, but the $51 million was a one-time investment from the state of Tennessee. The $2.1 million to Rutherford County, a one-time investment. Very appreciated, very much needed, but we continue to be lacking in a calculation in the BEP funding model that allows us to continue to upgrade technology. Continuing to upgrade technology is one thing, but maintaining that technology has a certain expense. And we're talking about it right now as we talk about bandwidth and doubling our bandwidth, over doubling our bandwidth just to try and keep up. It's something that we really need to continue to be vocal about as we are advocates for education. Also, we hear stories, and I know from my own experience, we make a choice from time to time to say, you know what, I want to use this device in my whole life, and maybe it's my own personal device that I invested personally. Is the board in step with what you see in technology as far as administrating appropriate security for personal devices that our employees or possibly even our students may bring and connect into our network, so that both administrative level technology and access, faculty and student, that we secure them appropriately?
That's a great question. And part of that, the Airwave and the ClearPass, which comes up to about $70,000, helps us greatly with that. We've implemented it in those 13 schools to where now there's a guest account. So when we have board meetings or there's a meeting at the school that an outside guest can get on, but they're very limited on what they can do. And then also at about 28 of our schools, we're running a Windows network. So students and teachers, to get onto the Wi-Fi, they log in with their username and password. So again, a better tracking tool for that. And as we complete this project, it'll give us that information that we need for reporting. Probably the other thing that we've got to look forward to and look at is the state where we buy our internet through the AT&T state contract. They provide an internet filter. That will probably be one item that we'll need to look into, to have something in-house that would give us better control of managing the internet and what students and teachers and guests can and cannot do.
Anybody else? Mr. Solomon, we sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge.
All right, number 9, legislative and State Department updates. Before I ask Mr. Blair to give us an update on the state level, and Mr. Holiday on the federal level, I'll just give you an update. I pretty well, I think, supplied everyone with the only response on the resolutions we sent to the state legislators. They were all hand-delivered the next day after the board meeting, and I'll take it back. They were delivered on the Monday after the board meeting, and I'd sent them a letter and asked for a response back by today, the 6th. The only one I had respond back was Senator Ketron, and if I'm not mistaken, the earlier resolution we sent back earlier, I don't recall if I got any responses back on that one. So I guess we can talk all we want to, but they're not listening. So, and I guess my biggest fear, I feel like as a representative elected official of the county school board, I think it's important the general public knows what's going on. My biggest fear is that the general public will wake up and it'll be too late. And If you get in here and study some of these bills, you know what I'm talking about, not just education. I'm talking about all the other bills. And what we know of public education is fixing to make a big change. I don't know how much we can stop it. Some of it, I haven't spoken to Mr. Reed on it. Some of it, I got doubts whether it's even legal. And that may be another discussion another day. So, but I will say, after looking at campaign finances, you can understand, after you look at them, you can understand why they voted the way they have. And some of them got some pretty good sizable amount of money from these PAC groups. And so about all we can do is just keep pushing for what we think's right for the students of our county, our school systems, and that's all we can do. And I know a lot's been going on. Mr. Blair, I think he's touched base with the state school board association to find out what's going on since over the last week, I guess. Mr. Blair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think most of you probably read in the Daily News Journal that the governor's voucher bill continues to move forward with a change from 5% to up to 10%, depending on the number of seats available. So it passed from 7-6 in subcommittee, so it moves forward. So I guess we're not going to go into a large conversation about it because we've had quite a few comments on our opposition. Some of the other legislation, House Bill 2293, the ones that removes representation of school boards from the Capitol, basically cuts our knees off. It has been moved to House Finance. The school bus bill has been changed somewhat to an 18-year unlimited miles opportunity. So at a certain point, I believe it's 200,000, they have to have more inspections, but I think it was at 20 and has been moved to 18. So, and I do not know where that is as far as what committee. House Bill 1780, Mr. Odom, you and I talked about that, creates a 30-day application period for the students eligible for the Achievement School District going into a charter school, and allows open enrollment as long as it doesn't exceed the school's capacity. It's actually going to the full education committee next week. And Bill 2217 that basically keeps school safety plans from being known publicly or discussed publicly is moving forward also next week. So those are the ones that have had some traction, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Holiday, anything on the federal level?
The one thing that is current is in the House Education Committee, March the 12th, there will be a hearing on the role of charter schools in K through 12 education. It's interesting that they'll take a look at this because they'll find, if they look at the data that we have been shown at our school board meetings, that only 17% of all of the charter schools that have ever been created or existed in America have ever exceeded the national average of public schools. And so 83% of the charter schools are equal to a public school or deficient versus the public school's efforts. And it'll be interesting to see if that House Education Committee highlights that fact. Our representative, Scott DeJarlais, serves on that House Education Committee, and so we'll be watching his input on that. Senate Education Committee is not active right now and continues to be a frustrating entity. While the Senate Education Committee has passed the ESEA reauthorization, which are the guidelines for elementary and secondary education, it has not been scheduled for a vote on the Senate floor and continues to be an obstacle to our success. Before I let go of the opportunity to speak here, I want to highlight the fact that several organizations, and we would probably characterize these as grassroots organizations that have in mind education reform and input. Some of those are, Standing Together for Strong Community Schools, Parents for Truth in Education, such groups as this, Tennessee Parents. They have all praised the Rutherford County Board of Education for a strong resolution about charters and vouchers for education. I have to take advantage of the opportunity. I understand the Riverdale Quarterback Club is a worthy organization, but because of that being on the agenda, I'm pleased to have two friends and former Republican County Republican chairman in the room, Dr. Nate Schott and Austin Maxwell, and I want to make sure that they, among anyone else who are listening, understand that we are doing an outstanding job in public education in Rutherford County. And we ask only that our elected officials support that and not undermine that effort. There's legislation that Mr. Blair has highlighted that is worthy. It is appropriate for us to not publicly discuss the security plans that we have, and yet under the Sunshine Law restrictions, we have to discuss those things publicly. That's good legislation. We appreciate the legislators for helping us in that effort. The day and time for security in schools is different today than it has been, and they're responding appropriately. But 51 registered lobbyists for vouchers against 3 lobbyists for public education is stacking the deck. The amount of money that is being spent from those lobbyists and special interests and from outside of our state is extreme, and it's just inappropriate. And we ask only that the high-achieving performance of Rutherford County schools be acknowledged by our elected officials that represent Rutherford County, and that we defend what we have done here. There should be some reward for the good stewardship that we have done educating our children in Rutherford County, over $1,200 per student, less than the state average. If we just went to the state average, we would have to increase our school budget over $51 million to just meet the state average of expenditure. We're doing an incredible job and being good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and some kind of fix that says 10% of underachieving school systems should have access to private education and take tax dollars to do it, it's just an inappropriate plan. We need to get that message out somehow, some way. And if there's anybody watching, listening tonight, or sitting in this room that can help us make that point clear to elected officials, it's imperative that we get that message across.
Well said.
Anybody else? Mr. Oden, you have any comments?
My question is, why would a lobbying organization from California, Oregon, want to come to Tennessee and literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for lobbyists in the state of Tennessee? As we used to say, kind of country-wise, there's a green line somewhere. There has to be looking at a profit margin somewhere why somebody would do that. So I think it behooves us to do exactly what you're talking about, to step back, take a look, and say something about this just doesn't smell right.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say one thing, that for years I've heard the state legislature complain about Congress basically taking away their local control. And it just seems like that our state legislature is doing that to local control. And I just find it ironic or hypocritical, if you will, that complain about it from a higher body and then basically does the same thing to another body. So it's just surprising to me to see some of the legislation that has come down the pike.
I
Mr.
would
Eads?
say that if indeed anyone is in contact with some representative that can vote on issues that Mr. Holiday has mentioned, that you seek an answer from them, not a form letter telling you how thankful they are that you wrote to them and how much they appreciate your concern, but get a definitive answer from them. This, this sets us apart if we know their feelings, yet they guise their feelings in this form letter that we receive when we communicate. We're very frustrated when we state, as we did so beautifully in this appeal to promote some good legislation and to defend any continuing promotion of the legislation that won't help our kids. We get a lot of feedback from parents on zoning, a ton of feedback. Zoning will be out the door if we're not careful. This is much more important than any school zoning that's been done in this county in a long time. And it just behooves me. I cannot understand how an elected official that will come to you at the time of election and show up, and I don't see any here tonight. If I've missed one, forgive me, please, but when they're running for office, they'll be there, and they want your attention. Yet after that has settled, then they turn their backs on you, and they really do. And we need them to communicate with us. We have attempted very professionally to communicate with them. So I would just say, if you're in contact with any of them, ask them for an answer, not a form letter.
I will say it's probably appropriate that we point out, in addition to the letter that we received from Senator Ketron, or at least his office, in addition to that, I know that Mr. Odom and Mr. Blair had a personal meeting with Representative Rick Womack, and we appreciate the interest to further their understanding of the issues. And I want to appreciate the partnership we have with the REA, who set up a meeting with Representative Sparks. The opportunity, though, that was at David Urey Elementary, and I was able to be in attendance at that. And the issue, though, is that additional information being taken to heart? And do we have as much influence as hundreds of thousands of dollars coming from outside interest? We certainly should have that kind of influence, and we absolutely have the expertise, and the scores and the budgets show that.
Anybody else?
Well, I'd like to add that, to me, this is all about local dollars, and do you want local people representing you? And that's what I think we're elected here to do, is to represent the people of this community. And if we don't fight for this, we're going to be turning this control over to the state level, and it could possibly even get to the federal level. And federal dollars are the fewest dollars put into education. So we're looking at, pretty much the education funded is through state and through local dollars. So if you want a local voice, you need to speak out and let your representatives know, because they're not listening.
Anybody else?
Sorry, Chairman, I want to echo on what Mr. Young just said. Let's break that down into real life application. Parallel legislation that is happening that will say that if a school is underachieving, then the state can take over that school. That's one piece of legislation that's in place. And then there's another piece of legislation that's going over here. Mr. Blair, I know you read these things carefully, so correct me if I'm wrong, that says that the Secretary of Education can take that underachieving school and assign it to whatever entity, charter or otherwise, that he sees fit to assign it to. Now, where would that entity be assigned? Two pieces of legislation. If you're not watching what this hand is doing while this hand is over here, all of a sudden underachieving schools get assigned to a charter venture that is a non-for-profit. There's certainly a whole lot of dollars that were spent to get that legislation passed. So that's the real-world application of what we're talking about here. These are very, very important topics to be vocal about.
All right, I don't know, Mr. Odom, would you want to comment on charter schools a little bit, just for the general public? A lot of them probably don't know.
There are multiple types of charter schools. The one that they're proposing basically here would take your state average daily membership dollars and transfer it to a private entity. You know, the bill that you're talking about, actually when Mr. Bear and I met with Representative Womack, he said, I want y'all to be aware of this. If this bill were to pass, the Commissioner of Education has so much power, he could go to the Rutherford County Commission and say, I believe Cannon County needs a little bit more money, send some up there. Am I right in what he said? He made that statement. He said, this bill is one of the most far-reaching bills, and it is back to what you said. It takes away the local control and gives it to somebody at the state level. Now, right now, that bill is on off notice, but it's only off notice because people started picking up on it. And that's true with these other bills that you're looking at. They will respond if enough people contact them and say, this is not a good idea for the boys and girls of Rutherford County. And that's the only thing we're going to understand.
All right. Number 10.
Number 10, and this is under facilities, and the first one is Blackman High School Junior ROTC Raider Obstacle Course. Ms. Gail Vick, principal of Blackman High School, has requested permission to construct a JROTC Raider Obstacle Course on the campus. The course will be constructed between the ball fields and Blaze Drive, and the open field will be 700 meters long with each obstacle framed and mulched. This will allow the Blackman High School Junior ROTC to host competitions. The course will be constructed at no cost to the Rutherford County School Board. Recommend approval. Motion to approve construction of Junior ROTC Raider Obstacle Course on the Blackman High School campus at no cost to the board as presented. Mr. Dylan Halstead is here if y'all want to hear more about that tonight. He represented it very well.
Move for approval.
Got a motion by Mr. Holiday and a second by Mr. Eakes. Further discussion?
Do we want to let the officer speak?
If he'd like to, I'd like to give him an opportunity.
Hello, I am Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Dylan Halstead from Blackman High School's Blaze Battalion. First of all, I'd like to say how much we appreciate the opportunity for a student to walk through his school and see something that could use improvement and be able to take it to this level. This is amazing that I'm able to come up here and talk to y'all about this. In all the JROTCs in Rutherford County, each JROTC has a Raider team. The Raider team is the physical side of the JROTC course that you can take. It's an extracurricular team, and we do all the push-ups and the obstacle courses and stuff, and there are 4 competitions that we get to go to. And we don't think that's enough. We do a lot of work as our Raider team goes. We're at the school at 6 in the morning every morning, and we work out for 2 hours prior to school, and then we go through a full 7-hour school day just for 4 competitions. With the addition of an obstacle course at Blackman High School, we would be able to add a 5th competition for every single school in Rutherford County, which I think would be amazing. For our individual Raider team, it would really improve our teamwork. It's really just as the football team has a football field to practice on, our Raider team would like an obstacle course to practice on. It provides somewhere to play out the plays, to practice the plays like a football team would. And that's what we look for as far as building an obstacle course and improving our Raider team individually. I hope that in the future I can come back, because I'm a senior. I won't be able to compete on this obstacle course, unfortunately, but I hope in the future I'll be able to come back and see our Raider team successfully competing and hosting competitions at Blackman High School. That would really please me. Are there any questions?
I'd like to say, Dylan, I appreciate your efforts in doing this. Mr. Blair over here, he's our board fitness expert, I guess. When y'all get this set up, if y'all would, invite him out. And you can report back later on that.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate y'all doing this. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
I actually met with my graduation coaches today, and one of the things that I said to them, you've got kids having trouble coming to school, and, you know, take a look at CTE and junior ROTC. Junior ROTC, when they take students in and they become a part of that team, they help tutor them, they work with them, those kids graduate. So parents that are listening out there, that got some tough situations with some of their kids and they're worried about it, you might need to take a look at junior ROTC because it builds character, it teaches discipline, self-discipline in the student. It makes a difference. And we have it in Rutherford County Schools. It's available. B.
Anybody else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. B.
B is Riverdale High School Football Multipurpose Facility. Mr. Tom Nolan, principal of Riverdale High School, has requested permission to construct a 60 feet by 100 feet pre-engineered metal building on a monolithic concrete slab funded by the Football Booster Club. The building will be used for training of both male and female athletes and help achieve parity in facilities with other Rutherford County high school football programs. The building will accommodate players, coaches, trainers, and managers, as well as have a men-women's weight room. The estimated cost of the facility is $491,000, but with donated labor, the club believes they can build it for a cost of $400,000 at no cost to the Rutherford County Board. The school and football booster club will be responsible for following all pertinent codes and obtain all required permits. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the construction of a 60 feet by 140 feet multipurpose football training facility by the Riverdale Football Booster Club at no cost to the Rutherford County School Board.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Nipper and a second by Mr. Young. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Maxwell, you're on your way. Thank you. Number 11, Mr. Odom.
Number 11, you have a packet that's a student discipline appeal. The board has been requested to review the February 11th, 2014 decision of the Disciplinary Hearing Authority, DHA, to uphold the remandment of a student from Whitworth Buchanan Middle School to the Daniel McKee Alternative School. This review is pursuant to the provisions of Policy 6.318. The policy states that the board shall review the record or report and shall, number 1, affirm the decision of the DHA, or modify the decision to a lesser penalty, or grant a second hearing, which would be before the board, or deny a request for a board hearing.
Move to affirm the decision of the DHA, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Holliday. Any further discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. General discussion. I guess the only thing one item I made mention or made a note of, I think Miss Vick, did she leave, recognize her girls basketball team and the boys basketball team in the state tournament. Hope they do well, and then the Seagulls boys basketball next week. So hopefully we'll have a champion in each group there that'll come join us sooner or later.
Be great.
Anything else?
I can't allow the board meeting to close without being on record as well. I've heard others say, but just how much our board will miss the input of Helen Blankenship and the value that she was to our board, to our county, but most importantly, we always say we are here for the kids, and her focus was for the students without question.
Just literally a sad day for our county community. because she did love this county, and she loved serving on this board, and we will miss her.
I will mention that her service will be visitation on Saturday, I believe 2 to 6 at Jennings and Ayers, and then service at 6:30. Is that right, Ms. Michaels? Okay. And also, one other thing here, I just noticed, Mr. Holliday, you can probably speak to this, the assistant principal, got assistant principal of the year.
Oh, Ms. Ruiz?
Yes,
Yes, congratulations to her.
yes,
So
indeed.
hopefully we'll have her in the near
When
future.
she gets the plaque and all, we'll bring her back to show it
There
to
you
you. So
go.
she's got a black tie event, I think.
The Byrne High School assistant principal of the year for the state of Tennessee.
Good. I saw that, so.
Yeah, pretty cool.
We do have, I believe, for the first time ever, a McDonald's All-American, as far as the basketball goes. And she's a student at Riverdale.
Okay.
So that's Middleton. And as, while we're celebrating all the success, that might be one of an opportunity to celebrate that success with her. So
We'll do it.
congratulate her.
Anybody else? Nothing else, we're adjourned.